Okay, everybody, here I am again, back to give you a quick afterscope chat about Kreacher. So you probably noticed a dramatic increase in quality, and it's because I'm experimenting with all these new materials that I got. Now, the first time I used the platinum silicone was here with the Demi guys with the previous video, just before him, and I was just really experimenting with it. I really liked how he turned out, but in comparison to this guy, he seems rather unsophisticated all of a sudden. But before, so I got for him, I got this stuff called Psychopaint, which is a silicone-based painting medium made by Smooth On. And it really, you really can only paint silicone with silicone. It's the only thing that'll stick to itself. And what makes silicone so neat is that it mimics human skin quality and texture so well. So it's semi-translucent depending on how much pigment you put in. So that's how it gets this really lifelike look. It captures some of the light and reflects just a little bit, just like human skin does. So the only way to really paint this and paint it permanently is with silicone paints. And you have to put it on in a very light layering way. So I cast him in the platinum silicone, and I used a light flesh tone pigment, so I didn't have to just completely paint him all over like I did with, like for example, Dobby here is made out of the air dry clay and acrylic paints. And again, comparing these two guys, I'm floored with, I thought he was good, and I still think he's good, but I really wish I could have made him out of the same stuff I made Kreacher with. And I might return to him someday. I might even make a mold of this guy and then cast him in this, and I'll have to make new eyes and everything, but I'll rework it. I might, I'll do a cast in clay first. I'll pour the clay into the mold, and then I'll rework in some details and then just do two molds. So it'll be a lot of work, but I really like to do it because I would like to see what he would look like with this new silicone stuff. But it really is a huge upgrade, and I love it. I think it's so neat how it looks. I'm absolutely floored with the lifelike quality, the way the light, it just catches the light so well. Just like, I swear to, he looks like an angry old man that he just wants his pint. He's pissed off, and he's about had enough of that boss at work. Maybe he probably is the boss at work, being a jerk all day, and he wants his pipe and his mug of brew in peace. Or he's pissed off at Margaret Thatcher for something, I don't know. I just don't know, but I absolutely freaking love it. It's so cool. But yeah, with the Demi guys, I got sidetracked there. With the Demi guys, he is platinum silicone that I cast him in, and he feels really good and fleshy, just like him. So this is really kind of cool. It's flexible too. It's like skin. It feels like skin. But with him, he has glass eyes as well. So does he. But his painting, I used what do they call it? I think it's Mr. Dashbow. So let me get that over here. I'll show it to you. Woohoo! So Mr. Dashbow has a alcohol paint range. Mr. Dashbow, and they use this in special effects for in makeup, in the makeup chair in movies and whatnot. It dissolves. I'll crack it open, but it dissolves with alcohol. You see that I used it recently, and it's like hard plastic, and it only dissolves with alcohol, and it only washes off with alcohol. So it's very good. You can apply it. I've seen a tutorial video applying this stuff to silicone prosthetics, which gave me the idea. Because when I made him, I didn't have the Psycho paints. I had no idea how to do it, and so I thought, well, I do have this, and I gave it a try, and it turned out pretty well. The problem is that you can't layer with this because the alcohol in it is what activates it, but it also, so if you put a layer on and then you want to add a layer on top, you have to do the alcohol here, go to the brush, and then you'll actually end up dissolving the layer underneath. So you can do some blending, but you can't do any layering. So it was a very, one-dimensional paint job, and it still looks good. I still like it. I heard that you can probably seal it with a layer of silicone paint, so you can kind of keep it captured underneath. But the thing with silicone is, if there's anything, any kind of, so you have to really clean this. I didn't really videotape that part, but you got to really wipe it down with alcohol, make sure it's very clean, or the silicone paint won't stick. And I was concerned that could happen here, because I was considering, when I had the paints out with the silicone, I was like, oh, I'll just paint some of his face up a little bit, and I risk getting it stuck in his hair, but I can do some highlights, and even if I put a clear coat on, I might be able to put another layer of this. Either way, I think he's fine the way he is. But what was cool about him, of course, is I could still use this when I was done with the silicone layer. I was able to do touch-ups with this. So there was a couple of freckles I put on his nose, and you see that in the end of the video, and I do that on his face, just a tiny bit. But he's 99% silicone painted, with just a dab of this for some touch-ups. So this stuff, again, it won't really wash off unless you use alcohol to get it off. So I'm not really concerned. I mean, you can really handle him. He's flexible. I actually have, just like him, I put a wire in his neck, some armature wire, it's very heavy gauge, and some tongue depressors or popsicle sticks on each end. So the bottom one's long, the short one top, and the foam, the expanding foam, it seals around it. So if I really wanted to, I could turn his head and it would stay. I just don't want to, because I think he looks fine the way he is. But that's how I changed his position. You just turn it, and the wire will keep it bent. You can bend it back. You just don't want to do it too much because you'll weaken the wire. So yeah, that's the story with the silicone. It's really versatile, amazing stuff, and I look forward to doing more with it. The only thing is that it's incredibly expensive. I mean, I think in the movie studios, when they do a cast of a sculpture that they made, and it needs to be in silicone for just the quality reasons, they're so rich. I mean, they got so much funds, they'll actually just pour the entire mold with it, and I obviously can't do that. It's too expensive. So the method that I use is, you see me paint it on in the inside, and I do several layers of that to give it a thick skin. So it's not so translucent you see right through it and see what's underneath. So I think the layers, it's about that thick, and his nose is solid silicone, his ears are solid. But the void space inside I fill with a polyurethane foam. And the first bit I do a soft foam, and then the base I do a medium foam, which is a little stiffer, gives it a bit more strength. So I didn't want it to be flopping around. So yeah, that's pretty much the deal with this guy. I really love how he turned out. I mean, he's a cool character. He didn't get any screen time, and if you look online, there's actually a dummy prop they made for Dobby's death scene, and it's a silicone prop, just like him. But they never made a physical creature for the films. So I'm pleased to say that he's probably the only one of his type in existence. And another great thing about making molds now is I'm capable of making copies of this guy. And it wouldn't be cheap, so if anybody's interested, you can just shoot me a message on my website. Maybe we can work out a deal. But I largely am just interested in moving on to the next project. But we'll see. One cool thing, I didn't say this, his eyes. People were asking me about that, and I really like them. The story with this is rather elaborate, and I'll just try to get through it as quickly as I can. But on Etsy, I found this supplier. I don't remember the name of it, but they were selling glass eyes. I'm always looking for nice eyes, so sometimes I make them myself. So I made Dobby's eyes myself, and you kind of had to make a custom job to fit in his head because they're so big. But it's not an easy thing to do, and it's easy to screw it up too. So I've been kind of looking around for either glass eyes or acrylic eyes, and I found a nice supplier that was selling a whole lot of these glass eyes. And I was like, where the hell did these come from? They look really neat. I don't know, they look kind of dated, a little aged, but they're very, very high quality. I really like them. And it turns out these came out of an area, and I'm going to probably butcher the name here, but it's called Lauscha, Germany. And it's in Eastern Germany. It's an area that was taken over by the Soviet Union after World War II. So one of the things that happened was, during the war, it started going bad. The Germans in this area, there's a famous glass-making region in Germany. They're like, oh, the Soviets are coming, bury all the valuables. So they took a lot of this stuff, put it in boxes and chests, and then hid it in basements. And there it stayed for the entirety of the occupation. And once the Soviets left, all these people started rooting around in basements and finding this stuff. And so this comes out of a lot of eyes that were made probably in the 1920s, 1930s, that had been sitting around and then hidden from the Soviet Union so they didn't get plundered. And then this guy found it and he put them up for sale. So I went, I'm going to snag those. So those eyes are like 80 or 90 years old. Really neat. And they look great. They have veins in them, arteries. They say veins, but they're arteries. and they have this age quality to them that made them look even more, perfect for him. I actually ordered a pair of new ones from Glass Eyes, same color, because when I did the sculpt, I didn't want to see. I'll show you what happened to him. So you probably saw it in the video, but when I finished it, I wasn't sure how it would turn out, and I always was loath to tear these guys apart because it's so much work putting them together. So I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get them out intact, so I bought an extra set and put them in his eyes, in his head, and they look fine, they look okay. I like these ones so much better, so I ended up having to cut his head open and dig them out from the inside so I didn't break them. And it did thankfully leave him, mostly intact. But I'll probably just melt it down anyway and reuse it. But it was still nice to be able to get most of it out intact. So yeah, that's the story with the eyes. Really cool. And I wish there were more. I mean, because they're antique, I think that was the only 28mm set of glass eyes that he had. And I've since sent him a message again asking if he's got any more, but I don't think he does. So it could be a one-off, one-of-a-kind deal. I'll have to struggle to find some eyes like this again. So yeah, I hope you guys like this new direction. The silicone is a significant power up, and I am really anxious to try making some new stuff with it. Maybe some monsters, other creatures, other fantasy characters. I want to make, something I want to say too, I've done a lot of horror sculpts, and it's fun, it's nice sometimes, but it's never been my passion. And I know I attracted a lot of horror fans that liked some of the stuff that I was doing, and I'll still do some horror stuff time and again. But I never intended the channel to be like a horror channel. I wanted to do stuff like this guy, or Darkness, the Lord of Darkness out there, or the Night King. Dark Fantasy 2 is pretty cool. I want to do Meg Mucklebones. I've been wanting to do little gnomes and dwarf-like characters and things like that look kind of like him. They're cute with fat noses and silicone skin and hats and hair and pipes and things, because I think they're neat. It's just, there's a charm to them. And I want to do stuff like that in the future, but I think some of you have kind of guessed it. The thing that's kind of held me back from that is because I've got to try to fund this stuff. And the only way I've been able to pay for supplies up to this point has been through, doing really popular characters that people, that are trending, and it causes a trend wave and everyone shows up to watch it. So AdSense kicks in, and then I get a decent check so I can reinvest in more clay and stuff. So if I started doing things that I only wanted to do, whether they were popular or characters I liked from like 80s films and things, or if they were my own creations, my view counts would plummet, and then I wouldn't make enough money to support the craft. So I get a lot of questions. They're saying, will you make this, will you make that? And I am in my kitchen, and I don't have all that many resources to my disposal. So I'm willing to make anything you guys want. If you guys can back me up and throw down the cash, you want something specific, put a pool together, and I'll do it if I can afford the supplies for it, if that's what you guys really want. But until we get to a point like that, I still have to deal with the whole trend wave thing. So again, it's not that I hate doing, I would never do anything I never really wanted to at all. But it would free me up to do more of the things that I would like to do, and more of the things I think you want to see as well. So, Patreon is there for anybody who wants to sign up. And yeah, any other questions, feel free to put some comments in the comment section. And I'm going to do more of these. I'm going to try to do more videos like this. I've had lots of coffee tonight. You probably can tell by the way I'm ranting. That's usually what I do. But yeah, I'll do more videos like this. Ask whatever you like. I'll try to engage with you. And I think that's it, guys. So please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And I'll see you guys later. Cheers.